everyone, welcome back to my channel, sharoncullenart. Today I'm going to be doing some more sketching from life inside because we are still under lockdown, and it sounds like here in Michigan we're going to be in lockdown for a long time. So we're getting used to it. First it was May 1st, now she's thinking of maybe opening certain businesses for certain people by May 1st, and then the rest of us will still be in lockdown. So anyway, today I'm going to do some sketching from life. I thought I'd do a little sketching of furniture, and I've been working on this other Mary behind me here, as you can see right there, and I needed to get her done for my 93-year-old neighbor. He got his other one. He's been so excited about it. This one, he's making some sort of a grotto and all sorts of stuff. And he has come over, I don't know how many times, maybe 8 or 10 times, saying, is it done yet? Is it done yet? Is it done yet? He is like a little kid. So I'm trying to get her finished, but I have to finish the bottom. She's the one that is standing on top of the earth and has the snake squished under her feet, just like you read about in the beginning of Genesis. So I have to still paint the earth and paint in some continents, and then paint the snake, and I'm done. I'm hoping to do that later today, but I needed some me time, so I thought I'd sketch a little bit. But before I do the sketching, I wanted to show you I got 2 new Daniel Smith colors to add to my collection. Now, I've already got a lot of colors. This is what I have as far as Daniel Smith goes. And then I had to add pans on the bottom because I ran out of spaces. So I'm going to have to go through my colors and decide which ones I don't want in there that I hardly ever use, which is really hard for me to do because I think, well, maybe one day I'm going to want that color and it won't be there. So I don't know. But this is a palette that sits on my desk here. Because I can fold it shut. It's not as huge as my big porcelain Stephen Quiller palette, which I also love. But these 2 colors I got from Daniel Smith. I got cobalt violet blue. I have cobalt teal, and I thought I'd get cobalt violet blue. And then I also got Prussian green. This is a double pigment color. This one is a triple pigment color. And like I told you guys before, if you're a beginner, you may want to go with something like a single pigment color so that when you start mixing colors together, then you don't end up with mud. Now, I'm going to mix these 2 colors together, and I'll show you why. It makes a gorgeous color, and that was one of the reasons I wanted to buy it. But Prussian green is also good for things like pine trees and stuff like that. But anyway, let me turn the camera around and I will show you exactly what it looks like. And for those of you who are beginners, I do recommend, instead of buying a whole palette full of colors that may be kids' colors, not even student level, light fast colors. Somebody had recently said something to me about having praying watercolors. I know what praying watercolors are, and they are fairly vibrant. Use them up, but then get something better. And I would recommend a beginner set, a warm and a cool of yellow, warm and cool red, and warm and cool blue. And then you can mix every color under the planet just about. And Daniel Smith does have a set of 6 colors. It's called their starter set, I believe, and it has 6 colors in it, and one of them is burnt sienna, and then the others are your yellows and blues and reds, whatever. So I recommend it, and I'll try to remember to link it down below in the comments section. So let me go ahead and show you these colors really quick, and then we will get to sketching. So I'm going to start with Prussian green here, and I just wanted to read you the statement from Daniel Smith. It states here, a dark, slightly turquoise blue-green, this innovative color is deep and concentrated, making it an ideal choice when maximum color strength is required. Rich forest shadows benefit from its depth of color and complex granulation. Mix with yellow ochre to produce a natural looking green for stalks, reeds, and leaves. So let's go ahead and try this. I'm gonna grab my brush here, and I got a little bit set over here, so let me just mix some green up here, and I will show you the color first. I didn't make it very dark. Let me make it a little bit darker here. I didn't want to grab too much, but here we go. Now you can get an idea of just how dark it is. It's very pretty. And then you can see when I add a lot of water to it, how it granulates. It's a very pretty granulation. I'll show you that as it dries. But let's go ahead and mix it with some yellow ochre. Grab my yellow ochre. I'm just gonna put a little yellow ochre here on my, we'll mix it right on the paper here. And then I'll grab my green and let's mix them together. Oh yeah, it does make a nice green color. I like that green color. I can make it deeper, or I can make it lighter. And again, because it granulates, those colors will still granulate while the yellow ochre sets in, although the yellow ochre is granulating as well. So that's really pretty. I really like that. And then I wanted to show you the cobalt blue violet, and this is what Daniel Smith says about the cobalt blue violet. Now, the Daniel Smith cobalt blue violet, I've lost. Where the heck did I put it? I've lost it already. Okay, Sharon, where'd you put it? Here is the cobalt blue violet. And Daniel Smith says it's a brilliant purple with remarkable blue undertones and a granulating texture. Try mixing this bold color with Prussian green for a surprisingly soft blue hue. At full strength, this violet is dark enough for deep twilight shadows. Mixed with water and a range of tones are revealed, a graceful addition to the watercolorist palette. The light fastness is excellent. Transparency is semi-transparent. Staining is low staining. And granulation, it is a granulating color. So, and I told you already that it is PB28 and PV19 is that pigment. So let me go ahead and grab some of this. Cobalt colors always seem to me to be paler. They're not as vibrant as some of the other colors. You really got to get a lot of color on your brush in order to make it real vibrant. Now I've got too much. Oh great, here we go. That'll be opaque if I do it like that. Okay. I'm doing this on bee paper, which is 100% cotton paper. You can buy it on Amazon very cheaply. It's a nice cheap cotton paper, and actually it's pretty nice, and especially if you're a pen sketcher, the tooth on it is very fine. It is cold press though. Okay, so now I've got this down. I want to do this again with a lot of water on my brush, just so we can see how much it granulates and the variance of color that you'll get with it. Okay, and now let's mix it with the green. I want to show you on the palette how this green is separating too. Excuse my messy palette, but if you look at this here, see how you can see the yellow, you can see the blue, how it separates. It's beautiful. And you can see that starting to happen here with the purple as well, or the violet. You can see the reds and then the blues. But let's go ahead and mix them together and see what we get. I'm going to put some of this cobalt blue violet down on the paper. Just taking it right off my palette here. And then I'm going to grab some more of that Prussian green. And I grabbed way too much again because it's still wet in my palette. It's hard to get just a little. And look at the blues that it makes. Oh, is that gorgeous? What a beautiful blue. I'm going to mix it on the palette too and see what we get here. Here's a blue. that I get from mixing it on the palette. And you can add more of the green, you can add more of the violet. Let's see if I add just a little bit of the violet to the green. And you get more of a green blue, and then more of the violet, and you get more of a violet blue. The key to granulating colors too is that when you're using them, you use a lot of water and you never dry it with a dryer. If you dry it with a dryer, you're going to lose the granulating quality of that paint because you're drying it too quickly. It's got to have time to settle, stain the paper, and then the remainder of the color sit on top of the paper. You can see it already here, the granulation taking place. See the difference in the color, and you could see a blue stripe running through there. Okay, they're just about dry here now. And you can really see on the green, look at the change in the color here from the yellows that you see to these blues here. It really adds some gorgeous texture. And then there's the cobalt blue violet, and you can see the change in texture here as well. I'm trying to get it to focus. I don't know if I can. There we go. Very pretty. Okay, let's get into sketching. This is where I'm going to sketch. This is the spot I'm sketching from right here. And I am going to go ahead and sketch the table and part of the couch, I believe, and the rug. But I'm going to skip Mary. I can't move her off because she weighs a ton. Sorry, Mary, no offense. But I'm not done painting her bottom portion. So I'm just going to leave her there, but I'm going to paint up to the plant, or maybe even part of the plant, and just cut it off like at this point, and then the couch behind it. I'm going to skip all of the cabinetry and all that. I don't know, maybe I'll fit it in, but it just depends on how much time I have to sketch and if I can get it all in there. So that will be it. I wish Mary wasn't on there because then I could get my bookshelf in too. But we'll just go this route from here. So I thought I'd continue on with some more sketching tips since you all seem to be liking that. The first one I wanted to say, and it's not one that I practice enough. As you can see here, I'm using pencil. But not using pencil will help you to learn to sketch faster. It eliminates a lot of drawing twice. And the more you do it, the better you get at it. What I tend to do is I tend to sketch in pencil the things that I'm not real sure about at first. Sometimes I'll go a little bit past that because I'm not thinking about it and I just keep drawing. But quite often you'll see me sketch and then I just switch over to pen and I start putting in details in pen. But when it comes to getting perspective correct and that kind of thing, to try to reduce my wonkiness, I will end up using pencil a lot first. But it'll help you to get quicker, and we probably would really discover that we like this approach better if we just use pen. And as you remember, a couple videos ago, I talked about what is up comes down, what's down goes up when it came to perspective. If you don't understand that, I will leave a link for the video on that theory, or that my way of remembering perspective later in the video or at the end of the video. But one thing is I didn't go into curves or ellipses, or, like if you're sketching a jar or whatever. I should have mentioned that in my jar video. But the same thing applies. Whatever is above your eye level is going to curve up. Whatever is below your eye level will curve down. But the closer you get to eye level, the straighter those curves become, the more they disappear. So if you can remember that, this is the opposite. What's up curves up. What's down curves down. Opposite of your straight line distance perspective. But since we're drawing furniture today, I thought I'd go into this a little bit for this tip. Getting furniture correct can be really tricky, but it's important because it really tells so much about the scale of the room, how big it is, how deep it is, all of that. So if you think about boxes, you could even draw the boxes in pencil. I didn't do it here, but drawing your sofa or your table in boxes, your upright chair in boxes, and then just use those boxes to get your perspective correct. It'll make it a lot easier for getting those lines straight. And this leads me to my next tip. The average eye level is at approximately 5 feet, give or take a few inches. So when you are drawing these things, it's good to put your eye level down on paper. Now I was sitting here, so my eye level dropped considerably. But if you're standing and you set your eye level, or whatever your eye level is, if you're sitting and it's at 3 feet, or if you're standing and it's at 5 feet, put a line on your paper. Then everything that you draw that is below 5 feet, you can get to scale by keeping it below that eye level line. And whatever is big and above 5 feet, you can get above that eye level line. And you can use that 5-foot marker to say, oh, this is 3 feet. So it's about a third of the distance here or whatever. And then your door is maybe at 8 feet or 7 feet. And so, it's going to be a little bit wider than your 5-foot line is on your paper. Did that make sense? I hope that made sense. If it didn't, leave me a comment down below and I'll explain it on paper with you. Now here's something I didn't think about because I don't draw people enough. But when you're drawing people, obviously the closer they are to you, the larger they're going to be. You'll find their height and you'll place their heads in that perspective. And then the further distant you get, the shorter those people start to become. Their heads are just slightly lower than the ones that are closer to you, etc. But the one thing I didn't think about was when you're doing an aerial sketch and you're looking down from above, let's say you're in a shopping mall and you're looking down on the people right below you, or the figures that are closest to you, are going to be the lowest and largest in your scape, or in your landscape. They're going to be larger, as in bigger as a whole, but they're going to be shorter because they're going to be right below you. So it's going to have a foreshortening aspect to it. And when they get further into the distance, they get higher up because you're beginning to start to look out over them. And so they look like they're higher. But actually, this will give your landscape the correct perspective. Now here on my paper, I was just demonstrating how if you tip this pen upside down, you can get very fine lines. Or if you put it up on its tip, you'll get slightly thicker lines, but still on the thin side. And then when you run this pen on its flat edge at 55 degrees, you'll get very thick lines. That's why so many people like to draw with this pen. It's called the Feuille de Manin pen by Sailor. And it's about $10, $11 on Amazon now. I've linked it in the last 2 or 3 videos, so you can go grab the link over there. Oh, and one last thing I wanted to mention about eye level is that if you are drawing people while standing at eye level, as a whole, their heads, the tops of their heads are all going to align at that same level. Of course, if it's a child, they're going to be much shorter, but they would be below eye level. And anybody who's super tall, like 8 feet tall, would be above eye level. So those would be your exceptions. But for the most part, all of your heads will align. The bodies will get shorter into the distance, but the heads will still be lining up at the top. Their feet will be up higher out in the distance than they are close up. In the future, I will do a video on people to show you exactly what I mean. That's it. So that's it for my sketch today, you guys. Remember, be courageous, paint with wild abandon, and most of all, be kind to each other. Take care.